If there's one kind of strange or interesting or curious thing that I've noticed over and over and over again about BPD, borderline personality disorder, is the prevalence of health problems. And I have to believe that there's a correlation. I've seen it enough to really believe that there just has to be a correlation. There are patterns. I feel like my line of work is often has to do with identifying a pattern of behavior, pattern through history, and correlating certain things in order to get to the bottom of issues and providing the best treatment. Curiously, interestingly, it seems like people who have borderline, particularly, not so much narcissism. It's possible with narcissism, but here's the thing: is that a narcissist will never really tell you. If a narcissist has tons of health issues, chronic pain, lots of health issues, for the most part, they're going to keep it to themselves as much as they can. And again, the reason being is that narcissism seems to be the frantic effort to avoid any vulnerability. And when borderline seems to be the frantic effort to avoid abandonment. And a narcissist is just extremely reluctant to disclose anything that might cause them to appear weak. And so they could have lots of chronic pain and lots of issues and lots of stuff like that, and really keep it to themselves, or very, very rarely say anything about it. So this may be true for narcissists as well, but again, it's entirely possible that if they do have this going on, they're going to stay quiet. But I can't count the number of times I have encountered someone who is basically advanced case of BPD, borderline personality disorder, well into their 30s or whatever, and they just have these massive health problems. It's usually like there's some chronic pain, migraines, mysterious issues, mysterious health problems. I can't tell you how many times I've heard about this where off they went to the emergency room, the hospital, the ER. They're having a physical breakdown, having a clear medical issue. They're in a tremendous amount of pain. Something's going on. Maybe it's in their gut. Maybe they're having this really crazy bad headache or something. They go to the ER, and the doctors, the medical staff can't find anything wrong at all. And I've encountered cases and seen people who have repeated this. They repeat this maybe once a month or so. It's just they're in this physical distress, physically breaking down. They're in a lot of pain, and they go to the hospital, and there's absolutely no indication based on the tests that they get that anything's wrong. They rack up these huge hospital ER bills sometimes. And of course, that creates a lot more stress. That creates another crisis. And, they just have tens of thousands of dollars sometimes in medical debt or medical bills, and with no clear indication of any health issues. And sometimes I can't help but to wonder if you can reverse engineer it a little bit. If you know somebody who just seems to have these chronic health issues, chronic pain, terrible pain, mystery illnesses, mystery medical issues, don't know what's going on. Maybe that's an indication that something is wrong emotionally, something that may be wrong mentally. I've just seen it so many times. I just have to believe there's a correlation. There's sometimes they come with a diagnosis of fibromyalgia, which, if I understand correctly, is a little bit of a catch-all diagnosis that doctors will sometimes attach to a person when there's nothing else apparent going on. It's just sort of a catch-all, but often what I've seen too is those who have borderline. They seem to have autoimmune problems, and autoimmune just sort of being like the body's attacking itself, right? Is that the immune system is attacking the self, which to me is a curious thing, because we really do believe in psychology and counseling that there is a psychosomatic thing going on, that illness can be in your head, or that illness can be induced or exacerbated by the belief that you're sick, or something of that nature. We know science is known for decades that physical, being under psychological stress takes its toll on your body. You can get ulcers, you can get high blood pressure, you can have a stroke, you can have an aneurysm, you can have all kinds of things going on, right? Muscle tension, muscle aches, just achy body. If you've ever been under tremendous stress for a long time, I think we all have, and your muscles are so tense. And I get this sometimes. And so this is kind of why I like to get a massage fairly regularly, because it's really helpful to get the muscles to chill out and just relax and give me a break. And it's just the stress. Like if you're going around like this all the time, and I have to believe that when you have borderline, that the emotional distress that comes from that, it causes the person to just be this 24/7 for, just years and years and years on end. And to some degree, I have to believe that the body just attacks itself, in part because of what's happening mentally. Borderline is a little bit of an enigma. And what I've learned over the years is that they are actually the biggest enemy in their own lives, even though I know it's kind of a paradox. I've often said that borderline is a walking paradox. They are very, very aggressive towards the people in their lives, their family, their romantic partners, very, very aggressive towards those people in their lives, sometimes blaming them, attacking them, faulting them for everything under the sun, never taking any accountability. But what I've learned is that, again, and I talk about this all the time in other videos, the personality is in fragments, it's in pieces. And they will contradict each other completely. That's why it's a paradox. Is, you kind of get, you see this all the time with BPD. Like, for example, she insists that her husband makes more money. And then when he's gone all day, working longer hours so he can make more money, she's furious because he's gone all the time. And these two things, they contradict. They cannot coexist. And even putting that in the forefront of her awareness, there's still no connection. There's still no oh, well, yeah, I did kind of contradict, because fragments of the personality are not speaking to each other. There's no motherboard. There's no communication between the pieces. And so in regards to physical health, I really have to believe that there's a correlation here, that the mind is at war itself when it comes to borderline, absolutely at war with itself. A swirling mess of contradicting emotions around the clock. We often see those with borderline. They can't sleep. They have chronic sleep issues, chronic insomnia, bad sleep. Inability to sleep will exacerbate any condition for any person under any circumstances. Sometimes I see stuff on the internet about oh, hack your sleep. And I'm like, man, why? We need sleep. Train yourself to get less sleep. No, I think that's bogus. I think that is such bad advice. That's maybe a different topic. But the only reason that I felt like this video might be an interesting or good one is in the ongoing efforts to attempt to persuade or make a case even why someone with BPD should seek help and get help. They're in emotional pain. They're emotional and mental pain all the time. And many of them are in physical pain almost all the time too. And their disorder is kind of what I refer to it as, often convinces them that getting better will somehow be worse. And it's, the one of the hardest parts with BPD is convincing them that you can't possibly be in more pain than you are now, mentally and physically. If you get help, if you work through dialectical behavioral therapy, it will not make you worse. You will not experience more pain. You will experience less pain, and physical and mental. And so I just thought that was an interesting component, just because I heard about this again recently. It just keeps popping up. Oh, you know, she's got a personality disorder and she also has fibromyalgia. Like, well, there it is again. Usually you see it kind of later in life, the younger ones in their 20s, not so much. By the time they hit their mid 30s, they're like starting to develop like chronic issues. It's actually very, very common in my experience to find someone with borderline who is on like a dozen medications for everything under the sun, sleep, anxiety, mood, uh, fibromyalgia, lupus, whatever it may be, some sort of autoimmune thing. Just a ton of meds, and they can often even, or you know, even painkillers, right? The opiates. Take opiates for pain, for physical pain, just to manage it. They take opiates and benzodiazepines like Xanax just so they can fall asleep. You know, by the time they hit their late 40s, early 50s, I mean, it's a nightmare for them. Um, and I just have to believe that there's an interesting correlation there. So, I mean, there's to me this just incentive to get better. It's just that's this refusal to do something different and to try and get better is just exacerbates their situation. They become in more and more pain, and it's just like, let go, let go, get help. Okay. Anyways, thanks for watching. Um, Man, I'm just at the time of recording this video, I'm just waiting for a confirmation email for my online course for high conflict co-parenting rules. So make sure you like and subscribe and stay tuned, because as soon as that is live and approved, I will be posting a notification. So thanks for watching.